Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say. Entrepreneurship has emerged as a powerful engine for economic growth, social transformation, and national development across the globe. In the context of Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation and one of its largest economies, the role of entrepreneurship is particularly crucial. With a youthful population, abundant natural resources, and a growing technology ecosystem, Nigeria stands at a pivotal moment where harnessing entrepreneurial potential can determine its future trajectory. However, the country also faces significant challenges such as high unemployment rate, infrastructural deficit, policy inconsistencies, and limited access to capital, all of which stifle economic inclusion and productivity. It's a beautiful episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name is Osayome Sali, and Barakat Salah to all my Muslim friends. Yesterday, we're discussing how entrepreneurship can drive Nigeria's future development. Now, remember, Ways is all about you. You are the why in Ways, so be a part of the conversation every single day. Add your voice to the discussion. You can also head on to our YouTube channel. It's at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, invite your families and friends to join the show right now. So when I open the phone lines, I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. As always, let me allow you to ponder on my quote for the day. It says, "We can no longer afford to produce graduates who seek jobs alone. We must now produce job creators, innovators, and problem solvers." And this was from the Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Alausa. All right, so we'll delve into all of the conversation around entrepreneurship and how it's going to position us for a better future. But first, let me run off on a break. When I come back, I will let you in on my news interests for the day. All right, thanks for staying with us. I'm going to start off the news today. Manufacturers, they seek urgent intervention to unlock real sector's potential. So stakeholders in the country's manufacturing sector, they've again called, or they've made a very strong case for firm policies, interventions to unlock production potential, noting that the government holds the primary responsibility of creating an enabling environment to salvage the sector. He says, despite opportunities in the sector, manufacturers acknowledge significant challenges hindering the patronage of made-in-Nigeria products, including low consumer purchasing power, the influx of substandard and smuggled goods, and skyrocketing production costs. I mean, this is something that we've always said several times, that if anything was changed within the ecosystem of the for manufacturers, it has to be that there is an intentionality with the government to provide an ecosystem that helps that sector to thrive. So we're talking proper infrastructure, proper road network, connecting, what's it called, the manufacturers to the market, all of those entire value chain, everything has to be, properly structured. Power is very important for manufacturers. One of the biggest things that I hear manufacturers, complain about is the amount of money that they spend in just powering some of their machines and all of that. That is not sustainable. So yeah, if anything must transform within the manufacturer's ecosystem, the government truly must be intentional about putting up those infrastructures that would help, ease that sector. Then as much as, we can ban or kind of tackle these issues around bringing in substandard products, then even just generally just reducing what we import, like finished products that we import, and find solutions to what exactly are we importing? How can it be locally manufactured, and how are we boosting the people that are making sure that the manufacturing is happening? Like, these things are quite straightforward and simple. So I don't know why we're still struggling with this. So I'll move on to my next story. Tinubu warns against approval for illegal island and, of course, buildings. It says the president has warned that islands and buildings close to the main roads and waterways should not be given approval. The president made this warning on Thursday while opening the Lekki Deep Seaport Access Road, a project he started when he was Lagos State Governor. Tinubu frowned at what he called the illegal creation and uncontrolled land reclamation. So the president ordered that any unauthorized structural development, especially those near the road, that all of those things should be, I think, taken off. So he made a case for future road expansion, and he also said that planning permissions already granted for such buildings in protected areas will be cancelled, with Lagos, of course, facing particular scrutiny. Now, this is what I was saying when I was talking about doing things properly, right? It's very important that we put structures to our housing in Nigeria, right? As much as, yes, we say, oh, people, there's a housing deficit. That does not give anybody the authorization to go and build where you're not supposed to build. And I would love the president to also come really hard on law enforcement agencies, right? The people that look away whilst these projects are being constructed and they collect bribes, those people too are part of the problem. Because if you know that this is a canal or is a waterway or is a road that, future road that will be expanded, and why would you even allow that product to stand? The project, why would you let it stand in the first place? So that is what, we talk about when we say that we need to start to intentionally standardize things. So let's not wait, like medicine after death, before it even kicks off. So I like what he has said. So hopefully, law enforcement agencies and all the people, the stakeholders, would be aware, and they start to probably, if they've paid for the land already and they've been given documentation, so maybe the government will just do, they do all these things, they reallocate somewhere else for you. But that is easier than already putting up a structure, and in the end is now, you are now putting news that things are being demolished. Because when the international communities or people that want to bring investment to Nigeria, when they see those things, they would not know the backstory. All they are seeing is that the government is demolishing something. So this is a good move. Hopefully, the agencies and the law enforcement personnel will take action and ensure that nothing, is built where it's not supposed to be built. All right, so we are taking a story, or we did an entire show on USSD on Wednesday. Yes, we did an entire show on it. So telcos, they said they opposed the airtime charges for bank transfers. So the telecom operators under the Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria have refuted the claims by deposit money banks that the Nigerian Communications Commission instructed them to deduct unstructured supplementary service data transaction fees directly from the customer's airtime balance instead of their bank account. So as it is now, we're really surprised, because they are also surprised that the banks took what was most convenient for them to whip up public sentiment by saying that NCC directed them. So they are saying, the Telco Association says NCC never said anything like that to the banks, and the telco executives came out to refute the claims by by the banks. You know, I was asking my guests on Wednesday, because even me, I don't use the USSD service. I don't really know how it works, because it didn't make sense that if I'm doing a transaction from the bank, they will now go to my airtime to like, it is messy. It's better it is on one panel. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Obviously, because it's the number of people that use that service is a lot. So that is why it's making news. So we'll just keep on following it and see where they would eventually land. So on this note, I'm going to take a break. When I come back from that break, let's discuss entrepreneurship with my guests. Stay with me.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Thanks for staying tuned. Entrepreneurship offers a practical and scalable solution. It has the potential to drive innovation, create jobs, reduce poverty, and stimulate industrial diversification beyond oil dependency. From tech startups in Lagos to agribusiness ventures in the north and creative industries in the south, Nigeria's entrepreneurs, right, are already demonstrating resilience, ingenuity, and ability to adapt to complex environments. So joining me to shed more light on this is Toluwase Laniyan. He's the Executive Director, EGO, right?
Yes.
EGO Foundation and Global Development Practitioner. What's EGO?
Ego Foundation. So
it's Ego.
Ego, yes. So
Ego
is
it's money now.
Money, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's an acronym for enterprise, growth, and opportunities.
Oh, I love that. Because I'm a name person, so I love it. Because I was saying EGO, because I know it's Ego, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's
and
Ego.
You were able to bring out the acronym.
Yes.
And you said
enterprise, growth, and opportunities.
And opportunity, fantastic.
Yes.
That's a lovely name.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That's amazing. So yeah, so let's start with this conversation, because again, lately there's just been a lot going on around entrepreneurship, right? And recently, a friend of mine, she does something for NYSC.
Okay.
So what they did was that throughout the just passed out core members.
Yeah.
Throughout their stay, they did things on financial literacy, then they down did some skill acquisition program. They then put them in a room where they pitched their ideas, and they were able to give them money for startups and all of that. So I said it's a fantastic thing, because we've complained several times around the fact that we have an unemployment, challenge.
Yeah.
And the jobs, right, that would fill up that, it's very slim.
Narrowing, yeah.
Very, very slim. So if we truly must change anything, entrepreneurship is actually supposed to be the way forward. So if you just want to give, first of all, a general assessment of where we are, you know, in our entrepreneurship drive and how we are positioned to, you know, to really boost that sector, where are we?
Okay, so I mean, really interesting question, and I mean, and I say this because the whole of work that I do and my life sort of revolves around entrepreneurship. Clearly, we are not in a very good space at this time, right? Not in a very good space because of the quality of the kind of entrepreneurs that we are and the quality of entrepreneurship, yeah, that we're churning out at the moment, right? However, the fact that there is an upward move in driving interest around entrepreneurship makes it a lot more interesting, right? So now we now have entrepreneurship embedded in our curriculum, in our university curriculum. However, we still take these entrepreneurship course just as a course, but not as a way of life and as a solution to unemployment, right? So a lot of students take these courses just to pass. But I think that where we are now, and with what the government is currently doing, I think that we are now a lot more positioned because we are we're the most populous black nation in the world, right? So it means we have enormous human capital strength. So I think that where we are now, we're ready to take it upward. But yeah, I think before now, the quality. Yeah, I mean, in terms of quantity, yes, a lot of entrepreneurs, but the quality.
Okay, you know, you just hit the nail on the head because I was having a conversation with I think Inye Aboyeji, and he was saying that he's tired of this conversation around small businesses. That when we're thinking entrepreneurship, right? How do we think big?
Yeah.
So where are the people that will set up an Amazon in Nigeria? Where are the entrepreneurs that would set up, you know, an Apple in Nigeria? Because every time we're thinking entrepreneurship, right, our scope, it's quite minimal. And for anything significant to truly impact, so you know that, yes, this is really impacting, what is happening within the economy, it has to scale.
So that's because a large number of people get into entrepreneurship for survival.
Oof. That's it.
Right. A large number of people get into entrepreneurship for survival. Right. Over 50% of
now because
students,
I don't get work, may I just
go run this one. 50% of graduates from tertiary institutions, 60% of them are looking for jobs. Right. The others are maybe only 30% are even saying maybe entrepreneurship, are sure of entrepreneurship, 10 are not sure. Now, of the 60% that are, saying, oh, I'm going to look for a job, over half of them would come back and say, okay, since I've not gotten a job and I learned this skill at NYSC, maybe I can then do it, right? So a lot of people, and that's why I mentioned quality in the first place, a lot of people are accidental entrepreneurs. Right? They are accidental entrepreneurs, which has then affected the quality. Now, you know, if you're not doing something intentionally, you just run into it. I mean, the quality will be different from someone who was sure that this is what I want to do, right? And that's what I think is also changing. What the government is now doing to say intentionally take this course. So people are now beginning, particularly, I think the biggest and the best quality of entrepreneurs you will find are in tech, right? Because these guys already know. But you see the other guys in fashion, people just eventually run into it. Parents are also not even helping.
You hit it. My mother, she's watching. I know you're watching. You know what I said? I was waiting for you to land. The orientation that we have. My mother struggled with the fact that I never wanted to do a 9 to 5. So I always wanted to raise my kids. So when I'm done raising my kids, I'll go and set up a company and set up a business. So she'll say, hey, so when are you getting the job? You know, a lot of parents struggle with the idea of entrepreneurship. And I wouldn't blame them. You know why? Because, like you rightly said, a lot of entrepreneurs are accidental entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So you do not set up like you are putting a proper structure. You do, and it even with staff, people just do what it is they feel like doing.
Yeah.
Because they don't see this place as an organization to work in. They are seeing it that it's a stopgap.
Yes.
Let me just do this for now to hold body. Later, when I find somewhere else,
The big organization that started small.
You got my point. I will now do the thing right. But you don't know that it is a build-up. So if we really want to address the failures of entrepreneurship from a standpoint, from the family unit, right? How do we start to re-engineer the minds of parents? Because a lot of parents are saying, go school so that you go start work.
Yeah.
You go and get a job. Nobody really wakes up and say, no, just become an entrepreneur. Because is it possible that it's because we are not, I mean, there's no school of entrepreneurship. For instance, I'll just go and say, that 4 years, you're going there to go and learn how to set up a business. So when you're coming out, you're going straight to start that business. Is that the gap?
Okay, so I've also always said to people, the very first orientation channel, right, that I think needs to hit the family is this kind of amazing show that you're currently hosting, right, which I think is absolutely beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I think the mass media need to first take the conversation and take it to the household, right, because this kind of program sits in every household at about this time, right, and people can rewatch, right. And secondly is, even if we have a University of Entrepreneurship, and you say entrepreneurship, a lot of people do not even understand what entrepreneurship is, right? A lot of people just think it's, so entrepreneurship is almost also, it's like a coin, it's double-sided. There's also intrapreneurship in there where you're not just starting your business, but you're running someone's business like it is your business, right? So we need to clearly understand all of these concepts, and even in our conventional universities, have these things well lined up, right? I think our university systems are well structured to run entrepreneurship as a full-time program, as a full-time subject, as a full-time course. All we just need to do is also help these students understand, and they can then transmit it to their parents. Now, if a child is clear, very clear about what he wants to do, right? So parents, particularly, I mean, in this age, over the last 10, 15 years, are also ready to move grounds, right?
Because they're beginning to see what is going on globally.
Because they're beginning to see trend. However, you see a lot of young people who want to finish school now, and they say, I want to just go and start a consulting company. And I'm saying, what background do you have to jump into a consulting company, right? But if you sit with your parents and say, you know what, I would get a job and learn consulting for 3 years, and then this is the ultimate goal for me, to go start mine. It's clear for the parent, they understand what the path is.
Because you also still need a bit of tutelage.
You need a bit of tutelage.
You need to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Understand the system so that when you are setting up. I remember there's a young guy that started an event company. He's big now, Marcus Smith. When I sat with him many years ago, he was talking and he said that, I mean, he knew from day one that he wanted to be an event person. So he checked and looked at Nigeria, who is the biggest event planner. And one day, he walked up to, what's her name, Funke Bucknor, and sat with her. In fact, he said by the time, because then, you know, a young chap, because he was, I think he was an air hostess, or what do you call them? Yeah, the host, yeah. So he picked up, I mean, he said he brought his Mac laptop, you know, his stockings, designer stockings, he was the Mac watch, the iWatch, his iPhone. She now looked and said, I cannot afford to pay you. You know, but he laughed. He now said, no, that this is his goal. That he wants to really play in the space of, what's it called? Event planning. Yeah. But because he's a very meticulous person and he wants to deliver excellently, right? He wants to learn under her. And that was it. She didn't need to pay him. So he was an intern, you know, learning the ropes of event planning and all of that, to the point that when clients came, they would not even look for Funke Bucknor again. It was him they were looking for.
So in a few seconds, right, I'll tell you quick. I'll tell you my story real quick, right? I mean, I spent a few years in university, I mean, for many reasons, and then I finished in a way that my parents didn't expect me to finish, right? After my first extra year, my second extra year, I was studying accounting, but the accounts were not balancing. I realized it was a lot easier managing people than managing money, right? Somehow I had to leave the school. And when I left the school, I I got people, I never applied for a job. I got people asking me, oh, we've seen you do this, manage system, manage process. Can you work with us? And I kept getting jobs. Now, this is the interesting part. 2 of the jobs that I got for over 2 years were not paying me. And not because they didn't want to pay me, but they did not have the resources well enough to afford it. And I stayed there. And when people ask me, what did you learn or why did you stay there for that long? I learned how not to hire people and owe them salaries. It's an extremely important skill. You need to learn how to hire people and not owe them salary. What do I need to do? Now, every time I sit down and say, what did my bosses do wrong at that time? I learn it and say, okay, so I won't do this, right? And I sat for that. Everybody around me knew that this guy would definitely be an entrepreneur. He would start his business. He would start consulting. Even when I did not finish university at first, in clear terms, right? I was consulting for some of the biggest brands. Wow. Recruiting for Bank of America, not to mention names, but recruiting for some of the biggest brands when I did not have a university degree. By the time I had a university degree, nobody bothered to care if you had a university degree.
Because at that point, that's why skill is so powerful.
Extremely powerful. And I recruited for some of the finest brands around the world and never had a university degree, right? But people could see what I could do, and I've learned how to do this thing right from some places, right? And that's why I think that, programs like this, and also young people who want to go into entrepreneurship, clearly analyzing what they want to do and helping parents and people around them understand this would inspire not just the parents, but also people around them. And it would help us build a solid entrepreneurship structure and system and culture, particularly in Nigeria, right? And people will stop seeing entrepreneurs as people who failed at getting a job and now coming to use this as a backup plan, right? Absolutely. They become a lot more respected. They become... And you would respect an entrepreneur because the person is chasing a hustle. He's running a business, not because the person has money. Successful yet or not, you should.
This is just powerful. Let us piggyback to what you said about the university, because I know that now in some universities, like there was a course my son was going to do in Canada. It was going to be, he's studying robotics, mechatronics and robotics engineering. It was going to be that plus business. Yeah. So double honors, right? So when you were talking about schools, I'm just thinking, is it possible for us to start to advocate, maybe, right? Maybe as an accountant, if there was entrepreneurship and accounting in that course, maybe it would have been a lot more interesting for somebody like you that already had, the entrepreneurial spirit inside of him. Yes. So how do we kind of push that, promote that in universities, for instance, so that as you are going in, right, something is tweaking in your... Because all of these things in the end is the mindset.
Yes.
If you check a lot of graduates from conventional universities, most of them are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I had to go and ask, what is going on in these people's university?
What are you doing right?
What are you doing right? Because it seems like they are successful entrepreneurs.
Yes. I'd said at different points and to a lot of university dons and say that we need to build a proper synergy between the town and the gown. A proper synergy between town and gown, right? Bring business leaders and business experts to come train. If we say double honors, right? You're doing accounting and business. People are teaching, the people who will be teaching the businesses?
Of course.
Lecturers. So in Nigeria, what we do is lecturers who have sat all their life.
Lecturing. No, that's the wrong formula.
Exactly. Never done business. Never. Those are.
It should be a Dangote that should be your lecturer there.
Exactly.
In the class.
So it should be people who are running business who can say this is how to run a business. If you want to have them certified by your system, obviously, but ensure that these people are running actual businesses, right? Bring them. So there needs to be a proper handshake between the town and the gown, right? In a way that it would help these students understand what they are going to meet out there, right? A typical Nigerian graduate do not understand the reality in the outside world, right? We go to some of the schools, try to talk to them about their resumes, about entrepreneurship. They will pass the hall where you're having the events. They say, they're talking about it's training, it's conference, and they walk away. Now, these people 2 years down the line are hustling, are pushing hard, are applying to jobs the wrong way, and they are frustrated. However, they've left those opportunities in school. So and that's why I say they need to, once there's a synergy between town and gown, they see a clear example of what they want to become, right? Whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's to find a job, they see a clear understanding of what they want to become, right? And they can then say, okay, yes, I actually want to be this. I want to do this. I mean, if I must add, one thing that rescued me was me joining ISEC. I mean, ISEC was an international students organization in school then, right? I joined ISEC. And I was able to then do a lot of things that I could not do in class. I was learning in ISEC, right? I was managing human beings in ISEC and seeing that I was not managing money well in class while I was studying accounting. So I knew clearly that consulting, human capital,
That is your
was a
that's your
path
calling.
that I was going to go through, right? Because it was a lot easier for me. In fact, while I was in school as an undergrad, I was training bank officials on, I mean, within my locality on time management, personal effectiveness, communication, and I was like, oh, and they were paying me. I was like, wow, I'm having an extra year. They are paying me for this thing. I need to take this thing a lot more seriously, right? And that was because I was exposed to the outside world through ISEC, right? So I think that, yes, we need to find a better way to synergize the town and the gown. Double honors is fantastic, but the people who will take this
Have
courses
to be entrepreneurs.
have to be entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
people in the business world.
So we have about 3 minutes before we go on a break, right? I want to quickly ask, right? Because one of the things that I have seen that makes it a bit difficult for people to think entrepreneurship from the get-go,
Yeah?
right, is the fact that there are no proper
Structures.
Yes.
most businesses, like you said, accidental entrepreneurs. So you just go into the business. There is no proper operational standard. And I see that. That is one of the biggest reasons, right? Even in terms of manpower, everything begins to struggle in that business. So how do we start to get that part right? What are the things? So, for instance, somebody's watching now, and this person says, "You know what? I want to be an entrepreneur." You know, what would be the first things that the person should start to think about and put in place, so that in the event that they start the journey, right, they get it right from the get-go.
Okay, so one of the things that we need as entrepreneurs, one thing you need to clear to state is to have a documented system, right? First, draw an organogram of what you want these organizations to look like. Draw the organogram, right? So if you're the lead production manager, who should be under you? Who should be under you? Draw all of the roles from the first day. Draw all of the roles. Now, this helps you to visualize how
it
big,
will look like
how
in
it
the
will look
future.
like in the future. So you visualize what you need in this job. You might not be able to hire them now, but the roles are there and they are open, right? Well, so they are closed. Only when you have money to hire them, then they are open, right? But you have all of those roles there and they are clear. So you know that you might be doing the job of the graphic designer because you can do graphics, but it is not your job. It should be under communication, which is also not your job. So you know one day you hire a communications person, the graphic designer will be under that person, and the person will then report to you or report to the operation manager. So you draw an organogram of what you want your organization to be like, and you begin to then fill the roles one after the other. Interestingly, if you do that, you'll be shocked that you find people who would work for you for free, freelance, volunteer, through all of those roles, right? But if you don't have that structure, you don't have what you're looking at, you don't even know what you're looking out for, you don't know what to bring in people for, you'll keep doing everything all by yourself, you'll get tired, you'll get weary, and sometimes you probably almost drop off.
Absolutely. You know what, let's go on a short break, because I know that entrepreneurs face a lot of challenges, and one of our biggest, struggle is human capital.
Yeah?
We have a problem there. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Oh, my God.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlights. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you're just tuning in, we are having a conversation on entrepreneurship and how we can drive Nigeria's future development. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-8663. You can also call us. Our phone lines are 07025007749 or 07014242420. Let's hear what you have to say. So before we went on the break, I asked the question around, challenges, because one of the biggest things that I have seen is that because when we're complaining about scaling, scaling would require that you're opening outlets across different parts of, some even go as far as not only within Nigeria, the shores of Africa, you go to different parts of the world, right? But quality control now becomes a huge problem. So that's why you see that a lot of businesses would rather stay in a place where they can control. I mean, I had a conversation with someone, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? She was so strong against any business that is tied to service. She said because her hands have been burnt, her fingers have been burnt, they messed with her terribly. So she can't even, any business that would require that is a human being that would do the skill, you understand, that she's never going to do it. So she'd rather just do retail. And these are things that you hear all the time. Yeah. So you see all these people that have multiple spas, right? They have beauty spas all over the part. This branch you might go to in Ikoyi might be doing fantastically well. You go to another branch, it's supposed to be same quality. But it's never the same. So how then do we now get those entrepreneurs that are able to scale and now have like global presence? Is it possible if you still have to struggle with the quality of the kind of staff that you're having, to do the job?
Okay, so interesting question, and I'll answer that this way. Say first, as a growing business, right? I try not to call businesses small businesses, right? Because they are growing business. As a growing business, I say to people, let go of people who do not fit the organization's design early enough. Let's go as much as you can. Let's go as fast as you can until you find the right kind of people, right? Because that's the foundation. And when you find the right kind of people, ensure that you then instill in them the organization itself. Let them understand why they are
our culture
here,
is.
what our culture is, what our core values are, right? So there are organizations in this country, financial institutions in this country, that if you meet with their employees, you know where they are from, you know the bank that they are from, right? Now they embody the brand, they embody the culture of that organization. Now, as a growing business, I also know like a leading fashion designer in this country, that when you speak with the designers, the tailors in the organization, you can tell that they have been with this person, right? So let's...
Is it the one that opened headquarters recently?
Oh, you know, right?
Don't worry.
You know, right?
The people that are monitoring him, we are plenty. He's our, what's it called? He's the one we're aspirating to be like.
Oh yeah.
That's a fantastic brand, yeah.
Yeah, because he grew through it and ensured that he held some people through the process, right? And you can see people that have been with him for years, right? You can see, so he does his customer service himself. He ensures that he does customer service. And when you see the way he does customer service, you want to be like him, right? You can't do anything less, right? And it's just simple. You ensure that the people that are working with you carry the thing. So I have team members that if you ask me something, go ask them at separate times. They would say
the exact
same thing that I would say. I don't like to be predictable, but unfortunately, it looks like they can almost predict me and say, oh, so this is what Oli would say, so don't worry, right? And I have people who have worked with me over time, right? We no longer work together, but I can say, this is the quality of work from this person, because I know this person has also been with me for a while, right? That way, it might be slow. And if you look at all the organizations that have grown till now, including the big Facebook, Google, those guys started from a small space, ensure that they built people who understood what the business values are, and then grow. Now, what we try to do in this part of the world is we try to grow the company with money, not with human capital. Right? As soon as you have money, you start hiring. You hire just any kind of person, right? Unfortunately, those are not the kind of people. There are people for different kind of organizations, right? That would stay, that would watch you grow. When I'm interviewing people, I ask them two things. Are you looking for a job or are you looking for money? Or are you looking to grow? Three things. If it's that you're looking for a job, this is a job. So what are you now looking for the job? For the money or to grow? If it's that you're looking for the money.
This is not the right organization for you.
Oh, if in case you even like your skill, how long do you want to stay here for? Right? From the get-go, I can tell the person, I can tell who will not stay for long.
Who will not stay.
Yes.
I know them as well.
Yes, and I said to my operations team, this person won't stay for long, right? But it's a good to have around here. I mean, let's have the person. But you know what? In another 1 month, hire someone who would undershadow this person
and
before this
learn
person
on the
leaves.
job,
Yes.
so that you can, there won't be any gap.
So, in summary, around all of this is we need solid human capital structure and consulting around our businesses. I mean, that we do with one of our brands, particularly for small businesses. Small business want to hire like a big business. There are two different things. You can't hire like a big business. You need to hire either for skill, I mean, for competence, or for attitude or aptitude. Attitude or aptitude. For some businesses, what they require is attitude. I mean, if you don't have the skill, but you have the right attitude.
You have the right attitude.
Good. But for some businesses, attitude would not matter. What would matter
is the skill.
Is the competence, right? So understand what your own business require, and then hire for what your business require, right?
I think, I mean, you really, really hit the core, right? Because and this is where, for us as an organization, it's very easy for me to look at, because what I do, I study all my employees. I know what this person is capable of. I know the people that I can always call. There are some members of staff I will call at 3 a.m. They will respond to me, and all of that, because it's a delicate company that we're running, and because we're growing, right?
Yeah.
It's important that the right character matches what it is that we're doing here, because we're building. Media is not for the faint-hearted. If you say you want to do a media company, it's not for the faint-hearted. So you really need people that are willing to grow with you, right? And this is why when I saw that brand in Abuja, when he opened the head office and the staff were dancing around that company, I was so excited, because I know that those people would have put blood, tears, and sweat to ensure that the brand has grown to where that stage is. So when you were talking about startups, I remember watching, I was on a flight, long flight, so I remember watching Jeff Bezos, how he started, in the basement, his garage.
Yeah.
And he was doing all the things. The person that had the competence, that is the skill to build that platform, he couldn't afford the guy. So he approached him and said, take a stake in this business and let us build this together. But the guy could not see the future. He said, no, just pay me my money. And he went. He went to meet his parents. They gave him money. I said, okay, take. When the guy that was building it, you are the one building it, you started seeing the numbers. At that time, it was already too late.
Yes.
So how do we, as entrepreneurs, start to intentionally shop? Because what will build any company is the people.
Yes.
How do we intentionally start to shop for the right set of people? Do we need to consult people like you? And at what cost? Because that's what a lot of businesses, let me not call them, you say we should call them growing businesses.
Growing businesses.
A lot of growing businesses don't want to pay.
They always want to just, we don't have the money, we don't have the money. So how do we balance that we are getting the real services that is needed for our companies to grow, and we're hiring the right set of people?
Okay. So with one of our brands, I mean, if I'm allowed to mention the brand, it's called Wording HCD. And what we do is we help you shop for the right kind of talents for your business, right? We say you can go and rest, or you can go and look for money. We would help you manage the human beings in your organization from hiring to firing. Now, that's on one side. However, if you want to do it yourself, I say to people that you have plenty money and you have hired a full marketing team, you are still the chief marketer of your organization. And the people you are marketing to first are your employees and potential employee, right? So never keep your mouth shut in spaces where you can potentially find people that would want to work for you. Always open your mouth. So you're in a tech event, find a way to ask questions that you would sell your brand, that will make someone say,
please, can I come and work for you?
Please, can I come and work for you? Right? So I've seen people who have approached me to work for free. And I say, well, I can't take people to work for free.
I have to pay you something.
We have to pay you something, but we can have a negotiation, right? I've had people who will say, I want to work for you for free. And I say, no, you're working for me for free. I'll be wasting my time and burning my energy with the way you are now. You know what? Go and learn this. These are the things I think you need to do first before you come here to do this, right? So, to be able to attract like the best talents, right? I mean, beside consulting organizations like mine, a very important thing is you also need to begin to speak in places, have conversation with people, tell people about your business, sell your business to people. Once they believe in your business, they see whether it is where they want to work, if it's what they want to do. I mean, I see people say, oh, I want to be in the NGO space. Can I work with you? And I say, you know what, sit down. Let me tell you, what we do in this NGO space is hard though. But in case you now think the NGO space is the thing that I do, no, there's this consulting part that I do. Do you still want to do the NGO thing? They say, okay, I'm looking for money first. I say, good. So you go chase what you want to do, right? So that's one I have.
Then this can now become a volunteer work for you.
A volunteer path for you, right? So, so you number one, you have to be like the chief marketing officer for your business, talking to your potential employee everywhere. Secondly, is to then consult people who are in this space who can help you shop for talents. I mean, so we do a lot of trainings. So we potentially have the kind of talents that you would want. All we just need to do is look through the pool, interview someone, and I mean, a lot of time we even do the recruitment for people for free, right? Because we know startups cannot afford to pay, right? But if you now want us to manage the people for you, oh yeah, we can
now have a negotiation.
We now have a negotiation, right? Yeah, we now have a negotiation. I mean, interesting. We hired for someone some time ago and say, okay, so you need to pay us, and he said, well, we didn't say that we were going to get you. I'm like, oh really? Now he had an issue with the
staff,
and he said, okay, so this stuff you have for, I said, no, you didn't pay me for that service. Are you ready to pay now? He said, I said, well, so do you want to fire the person or what do you want to do, right? So, so there's always a price to pay for quality service. There's always a price to pay for value, right?
You have to, You have to. I always say that it is always best to pay. The worst is that, you know what we do here is that I know that this is what you have. I mean, this is what you are worth, but this is what I can afford. Is it something you can take for now, right? Yes. I mean, so it's a simple answer of either yes or a no, but to say I will not pay, that one, I don't do that.
Yes.
It's very important that you give people, you know, and I loved what you said about, because it's a policy here, you know, no matter what it takes, you know, come rain, come sunshine, salaries have to come, you know, as when it's very important, because I don't understand the logic behind people working for you for 6 months, for 2 years, and you're not paying salaries. It's quite tricky. So how do you expect them to, you know, to cope?
To cope, yeah.
So, but let's quickly touch on, because we just barely have about 5 minutes to wrap up, right? How do we scale? How do businesses start to approach scaling, right? Because again, the reason we're talking about entrepreneurship, it's because entrepreneurship is needed to boost the economy in Nigeria today. So how do entrepreneurs start to think big to scale? What needs to be done? What needs to be put in place? Is there something on the part of the government? Just generally.
Oh, okay. So, so I'll rush through that. I know that the government currently has a technical and vocational education program that is, I think, powered by the Ministry of Education. And I know that this program also is in phases, right? And this phases is to also help businesses, people who are probably also who are existing business, move to the next level, right? So I think now at the point where every business is, one question you must always ask yourself is, what's the next phase for this business, right? A lot of entrepreneurs, particularly quality I mentioned earlier, a lot of entrepreneurs just wake up to running a business another day. So you just wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm going to run my business again. A lot of people are not asking, what's the next phase for this business? When is the next phase gonna happen, right? Scale is something that can happen overnight. Scale is something that can happen over 10 years, can happen over 5 months, right? But you asking, what's the next thing? What's the next phase for this business, right? Like the brand that we're talking about in Abuja had been around for over 20, 25 years, right? And have been operating from somewhere where a lot of dignitaries go to. And we say, oh, this is really nice. Now the HQ, right? I am sure this person has in mind something way bigger than this. You know what? There are a lot of fashion entrepreneurs like him that have first opened outlets outside Nigeria first. Right? But for them, that's the next phase. So that's scale for them. You must be able to define what your own next phase is.
So what it means is that as an entrepreneur, you need to sit down and draw that, 5-year timeline.
Yes.
This is where we'll be at the 5th milestone.
Yes.
10 years, this is where we'll be and all of that. So when we're able to do that, then we're able to scale.
Yes, then you're able to scale, right? You cannot, maybe to go into the preacher mode, you cannot step into a vision that you've not seen, right? Because you've not seen it. You don't know what it looks like. You cannot even think it in your head. You cannot fathom it, right? So this person has built this big thing. That might not be scale for him. So we see that it's big. It might not be scale for him. Scale for him might now be that if he's able to replicate that in the 36 states of the country, right? Only him has the blueprint.
In the African continent, in general.
In the African continent, right? So that might then be scale for him, right? But you as an entrepreneur must be able to sit down, right? And then say, oh, this is what the next phase should look like for my business. And this next phase, I'm considering it in the next two years, the next 3 years. So have a plan, right? Make it time bound so that you're able to track it. However, in Nigeria, we pray it happens, right? That you're able to track by time, right? But then again, make it time bound, and then
the volatility of and one single policy can just mess this up. That was what I was asking on the part of government. But let me quickly take this message. It says, I believe it's so important for startups to have the right fit people for core vision and culture of the business. Yes, I believe so. That's from M. Jones on YouTube. So quickly, that's why I asked about on the part of government.
Yeah.
Because there's a part where the entrepreneur has done everything. You've crossed all the T's and dotted all your I's. You've done all the planning, the mapping. You're on point. You're on track with your plan, right?
Yeah.
Your projections and all of that.
Yeah.
One policy just comes and it messes everything up.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we start to call the government to see the impact of some of their brash or irrational decisions and how it's impacting? Look at what's happening in the US. Like, it's not only us, everywhere.
Yeah.
So tell me how Nigerian government can intentionally help to, just further build this, this sector for businesses.
Okay, so what happened with the fintech policies during the last administration that affect a lot of fintechs? In fact, it went beyond like that. A lot of fintechs. Some countries in Europe at the moment cannot even can't exchange naira for euro. Really tough. Now, I think the governments now see clearly that some kind of policies would break entrepreneurship in the country, right? However, I think that each ministry should begin to sit down with entrepreneurs in that space and begin to ask questions.
What would make the business easier for you?
What would make the business easier for you, right? I think that conversation, public-private kind of conversation, would further push better policies and help the government make better decisions around the kind of policy that would support business, be in agriculture, in finance, education, and all sectors. Yeah, I think that would go a long way in helping the government fix that spot.
Awesome. So if we had one final thing to say to an entrepreneur that is watching, what would that be? What would you say to the entrepreneur?
So for me, I always say entrepreneurship is building one brick at a time. If you have more people like you who are bringing the bricks, you will build faster. So find people like yourself who can help you build and that you can build faster. However, the bricks, you will build faster. So find people like yourself who can help you build and that you can build faster. However, if you can't find them, build one brick at a time.
Yes, it's Friday, so yes, we're having fun. I'm going to go and party. We know afford to produce. We must now produce job creators, innovators, and problem solvers. And this was from the Minister of Education, Mr. Maruf Alausa. Yes, I'll see you guys Monday. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.